The real art of alchemy, God's science, loosely translated, is about bringing more spirit into matter. This is the step-by-step transmutation process to bring more heaven onto earth, more spirit into matter. By the time Alchemist masters the art of transmutation and actually turns physical lead into gold, all they want to do is give it away and reduce the suffering of the world. The true alchemist walks the 7 steps of the alchemical journey. They crystallize themselves into form, and they come back to help others. And by the time you go through that entire journey, you realize it's not about the gold, it's not about the money, it's not about the external things. And all they want to do is help other souls break through their limitations and their disconnection. This is your invitation to become the alchemist of your life. You decode your heaven on earth and go through the alchemical process. The alchemist is a master of himself so that he can master life. People thought alchemists were turning lead into gold, but they're really crystallizing their soul into form. Alchemize your golden potential. Welcome to the Golden Life. Welcome to the Golden Life. My name is David Gilbert, and today I'm going to help you discover what it means to be a modern day alchemist. And ancient alchemists strive to transform base metals into gold. But that was only the tip of the iceberg. And I want to talk about how alchemists show up and how you can start to apply this to your life, because this is how we can transform our own lives and step into our own golden life. And if you're watching this show, it's because you're somebody passionate about personal development. Now, there's one obstacle today where so many people talk about personal development and professional transformation, and you can find endless content online. But somehow you found this, and what's interesting is so many people in the personal development realm, or somebody like yourself and myself, who loves growth and evolution, we tend to forget that there were these people, the ancient alchemists, who dedicated their entire lives to the craft of transformation. So I know that if you pull the insights, the possibilities of what it means to be an alchemist and apply it to your own life, you will better understand the transformational process. And I would argue that everything that you want is on the other side of transformation. So let's jump straight into today's topic: the 11 reasons to become the modern day alchemist. Number 1, master yourself, master your life. And this is to acknowledge a deeper truth that we tend to often forget. I know I used to a whole lot in the past. And this is the fact that the only thing you can truly control in the entire infinite universe is, can you guess it? Yes, yourself. This is the only thing you truly have the ability to control. Even though we try so hard, we grip so hard to control things externally, but at the end of the day, you ultimately have no control other than yourself. So being the modern day alchemist, you choose to master yourself because you realize that's the only way to master your life. And since the only thing you can control is yourself, you'll eventually realize that it's all about becoming, which is really, if you broke it down even further, becoming is the formula of being plus commitment. So to live as you are, committed to who you are becoming, you can truly start to master yourself. But this also means, right, the dichotomy of so many things, yes, and not only are you committed to who you're becoming, but you also surrender to your inner master, your inner king, your higher self. So it's this act of being fully committed, yet surrendering to the whispers of your inner king. Number 2, Alchemists embody ultimate freedom, love, and possibility. And why is this? Well, exploring the alchemical journey gives you the opportunity to relieve your suffering, relieve your ignorance, and even your fear of death. And how is this done? Well, alchemists were all about cultivating direct experience of the invisible world, which is another way to say cultivating direct experience of Source or God itself, and living a life where a lot of your wisdom is based off your own experience and not relying on what was passed down to you. And then on top of that, as so many things, spirit, and then the other part is matter, also understanding how one can relate to physical matter. So because you go through the process of developing a more soul-centric view in life, and you see that the body or matter that you're born into will naturally choose uncertainty because it's evolved to help you survive, and it will put you in this world of uncertainty, you can also choose to acknowledge the underlying spirit of all creation, which is another way to say a universe of possibility, of pure possibility, right? If the universe is one mind of the creator and we're all in and part of it, well, that gives you a little bit more freedom because you realize you're being human, not a human being, to borrow a quote from a dear mentor, Peter Crone, and you can allow yourself to see how you relate to physical matter, but not get sucked into every story, which causes the negative emotion, then causes the unnecessary suffering or the ignorance, which causes the unconscious suffering. And you can start to step through. And then as you have your experiences with the invisible world, you start to loosen your grip of fear of death. And you get to start to live spiritually connected to a higher power. Moving on to number 3. They are masters of the art, or what I consider to be the superpower of transmutation. And if the universe is energy, then those who can will it to their conscious choice are some of the most powerful of all. And this is to say, transmutation is understanding how to take one form of matter and transform it into something else. But really, so many people talk about alchemy and alchemists, and they're like, oh yeah, those were those crazy dudes just living in their basement trying to turn lead into gold. Well, why were they really trying to do that? They actually didn't care about the gold. The fake alchemists were the ones trying to do it for the sake of getting gold. The true alchemists were doing it to understand the deeper pattern of transformation, which is transmutation. So once again, I would argue at the end of the day, everything that you want lies on the other side of a transformation. So wouldn't you want to spend some time studying the art of transmutation or the art of transformation? And in my opinion, if everything is energy and it doesn't dissipate, only changes form, to understand how to transmute energy or transmute matter into a different form truly would be one of the greatest superpowers there is. And guess what? You have the potential to achieve that in this lifetime. And I know from my own experience, it's one of the reasons why I take people through transmuting their deepest wounds, what I call lead, that mental emotional lead, and turning it into gold. Because if you can do that with your most painful past experiences, then you have the confidence that you can do that with any other situation in life. And that's what it's really about to live empowered as a modern day alchemist. Number 4, alchemists are committed to internal balance. This is also called the sacred union of the inner masculine and feminine, which is to acknowledge everybody has the archetype of both masculine and feminine inside of them. And so many people talk about things like work-life balance, but what they're really looking for is internal balance. That balance of being committed to growth and expansion and achieving that next external thing, along with the feminine balance of being perfectly okay with where you are, being fully receptive, not needing to change anything and just being. So it's this dichotomy of different things like being and doing, creation and receptivity or creativity, logic and creativity, and finding that within yourself. I know I'm going to share this in a future episode, but I went from maybe, a more creative, maybe a little bit more feminine way of being. And to get into balance, I had to lean into the masculine, where I got really into hustle, high performance, and then peak performance. And now I've been able to come into the sweet spot between the two, where I know how to turn it on and get things done when I need to. And I know how to just be and step into creativity and receptivity and intuition when I need to as well. And that's what we're all looking for. And one of the other dichotomies is also becoming the adult who has the wisdom of being an adult, but also the open and joyous heart, just like a child at play. And that is really the sweet spot, at least in my own opinion, of really becoming the alchemist, of embodying that adult with an open and joyous heart, who's just like a little kid on the inside, but the wisdom of somebody else. Moving on to number 5. Alchemists are the artists of life, and life is their canvas. This is to say, they live in a way to see that we live in this universe of infinite possibilities, and you are a co-creator. Whether you consciously choose that power or not, you are always co-creating your universe. And you can take ownership of this and see your hands as the paintbrush and constantly painting and designing and having fun with how you navigate life. And not only that, seeing the universe of possibility, they also have the ability to put on the frame, the lens, I call the sunglasses, at any moment to choose to see the awe, the wonder in everyday moments. Because when you really start to sit on creation and manifestation, this universe and reality we all live in and are all co-creating in our own little bubbles together, if you really stop and think about it, you just go, wow. Like a little kid looking at the stars. To nowadays, to be able to shoot a video and have somebody instantly see it, to have things delivered to your doors with days or hours of whatever you could imagine in your whole mind, like we live in a magical universe. And I even know from studying peak performance that the more you step into awe, the more resilient you'll be too. But that's a story for another day. And this is to really say alchemists work with the waves of life. They work to ride the waves of life. They don't try to stay disconnected from life and do things how they think it's supposed to be. No, they seek to understand the evolution, the process of evolution, the process of nature. Therefore, they no longer get plummeted by the waves of life. And when you start to ride the waves of life, you feel a little bit happier, you feel a little bit more joyful, and you gain more purpose. All right, reason number 6. Alchemists seek to become co-creators with the cosmos and master the manifestation process. I think I could really stop there and just end it at number 6, because that's enough for me to be sold to be a modern day alchemist. But just like I talked about in a previous episode, right? There's I'm manifesting versus co-creation. And which one do you think is more powerful? Your little limited personality self or infinite intelligence working alongside of you? But the irony is, people think alchemists were manifesting lead into gold. But that wasn't actually the case. They're really understanding the process of manifestation to manifest what they called the monad into form, which is another way to say to crystallize your soul, your highest potential, into form. And this leads me to number 7. The alchemists are the rare teachers who actually guide people to embody their full potential. And that's because they dedicate their entire lives to mastering the art of transformation. And I know I've been there myself. Just like I'm manifesting versus co-creation, there's trying to develop yourself and going through personal growth and personal development and all the practices. But if you're not connected to infinite intelligence and working to crystallize that limitless, timeless, boundless potential that you are connected to, well, you are never going to get past 50% because you're going to let matter just be the only thing that you're trying to optimize, trying to, get to operate at peak performance. But alchemists understood how to integrate both spirit with matter. And if you truly want to embody your full potential, well, then you walk the alchemical journey, and that will guide you to bring spirit into matter, bring your higher self into form, and live as the crystallized version of your potential. Now, moving on to number 8, alchemists live in the intersection of human performance and spiritual expansion. And this is to say, alchemists are the ones courageous enough to explore the depths of their own being, or maybe transcend to the highest levels of consciousness that they're capable of. And they'll do this, let's just say, for example, on a weekend, only so they could show up more grounded and centered for a Monday morning. And this is just something I want to plant a seed as you really start to explore your spiritual journey. There's so many people who get caught in the trap doors of thinking, oh, I just want to live in spirit land or in whatever, not realizing that the game of life is about playing the infinite game where you are right now. So how can you have your practices to explore the depths of yourself or transcend to the higher levels of consciousness, but at the end of the day, only do it so you are more grounded, you are more in that perfect intersection, that cross of staying right where you are in this physical form with as much spiritual expansion as possible. Number 9, alchemists are committed to bringing heaven on earth. And there's a secret 8th step to the general overview of 7 steps when it comes to alchemy. Now, alchemists all, are developing and evolving all the steps, and there's debate always around the exact number and steps. But loosely speaking, 7 are the 7 phases of the alchemical journey, but there's a secret 8th step. And that is, as you go through the entire process, like I shared previously in other episodes, and you come to the point where you made it to the 7th step and you're really starting to crystallize your fullest expression of potential into form in physical matter, well, guess what happens? It's not about dissoluting and evolving into the universe. It's about coming back to Earth to help others along the way. And the real art of alchemy, God's science, loosely translated, is about bringing more spirit into matter. So this is literally the process, and I'll share this in a future episode too. It's even in the Bible, as well as the Emerald Tablet, which I'll talk about in a second, of this is the step-by-step transmutation process to bring more heaven onto earth, more spirit into matter. Now, number 10. By the time alchemist masters the art of transmutation and actually turns physical lead into gold, all they want to do is give it away and reduce the suffering of the world. So this is where you really start to see the distinction of fake alchemists and the true alchemists. The true alchemist walks the 7 steps of the alchemical journey. They crystallize themselves into form, and they come back to help others. And by the time you go through that entire journey, you realize it's not about the gold, it's not about the money, it's not about the external things. And all they want to do is help other souls break through their limitations and their disconnection. And this leads me to the very last one, number 11. Alchemists welcome all spiritual paths or religions. And what's interesting though, like so many things in alchemy are a dichotomy, is they also highly encourage you to choose one spiritual path or religion to stay committed to. So being open to all paths, but having that one that resonates the most with you. So that's why I want to share, if you're listening to this and maybe you grew up in an environment where you're like, oh, I don't know about these other things, these other spiritual paths, or talking about things like alchemy or exploring alchemy. Well, alchemy is like the scientific path that welcomes whatever path you're walking, but also encourage you to do that one that works the best for you. Because if you stay too open, then you don't have a practice to be disciplined to. And if you want to be a disciple, well, then you need a practice to be disciplined to. And this is a point I also want to bring up, that alchemy was created originally by the Emerald Tablet, which I have right here if you're watching, this massive tablet. And there's the 10 Commandments that we all typically know, right, from Christianity. And what's interesting is you could start to create these distinctions of matter or personality self and soul or spirit or possibility. And it's, rumored that the Emerald Tablet was discovered and then hidden away. And we all know the 10 Commandments today. And you could see the 10 Commandments as this process to help your personality self live with more harmony in its environment. And it's like this golden 10 Commandments, right, to follow. And then we have the Emerald Tablet. And this is like the missing piece, because the Emerald Tablet describes the process of transmutation that is like the process of going through to embody more of your spirit, more of your higher self. And the irony to it is that as you go through the process, you kind of have these guidelines, the 10 Commandments of how to go through life when you're, younger and starting to navigate and become more aware and more conscious. And if you follow the Emerald Tablet, well then, or the alchemical journey, well then you'll start to embody more of your spirit or your soul potential. And as you do that, the irony is you no longer need the 10 Commandments, because now you're just living it consciously. You're just living it without even trying, from a state of being. So if this has inspired you to explore modern day alchemy or to become the modern day alchemist, well, just know this is the podcast for you. And to share all of this and get you inspired and motivated to take ownership of your life and be the master of yourself, I do have to acknowledge that if you walk the true alchemical path, it is a spiritual initiation that is a more solitary path, because you have to do this work yourself at the end of the day. So I want to be a true guide if I didn't at least give you that warning. But what you get on the other side is greater than any gold you can get in the world today. So choosing to become the alchemist is a key decision that if you make it, I know it will lead to a domino effect of changes in every aspect of your life. But as I shared, so many things in alchemy are a dichotomy. The main rule in alchemy is make haste slowly. So when it comes to learning these concepts, when it comes to applying these concepts, when it comes to exploring your consciousness, make haste slowly. Slow and steady wins the race. There's nowhere to get to. There's nowhere to be except in this moment that you are now. So if you have any questions about becoming the modern day alchemist, feel free to share them in the comments below so that I could answer them in a future episode. And if you are ready to explore what it means to live with tools for practical and spiritual alchemy, well, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can follow along, or visit www.goldenlife.com, sign up for the newsletter so you can be the first one to know, and you'll get way more content about becoming the alchemist.